Monday, the 3rd of February, 2025. It is time for the US session. Markets have just opened. I left a few trades open in the morning. The trade in gold, I moved TP a bit up, but I decided to close it manually on this spike up here. I thought there was a chance we just reverse, and just wanted to secure some profits because this was quite a significant move in what is a complicated day, I would say. So just wanted to secure some profits there and also let this run. Unfortunately, we did get stopped out before the reversal. That's fine. It happens sometimes. This was sad because we almost hit TP at the very open. TP was around here, so unfortunate, happens sometimes. And now we're rallying, of course, but we executed our plan and can't ask for much more than that. I have several entries that I'm planning on taking for this session. And first up will be the break of the second 5-minute candle in the Dow. But first, let's see what happens here. We just went above where we opened in the night. There's still this whole gap to fill though, so let's see what happens. I'll wait for the second 5-minute bar to complete and we'll bring you back before that happens. Otherwise, I will be looking at the completion of the first 15-minute bar in the Nasdaq, and then the second 15-minute bars in gold and in the DAX, before finishing with the fourth 15-minute bar break in the SPX, but we'll see. So let's take it step by step, and I'll wait for the completion of the second 5-minute bar in the Dow. Bringing you back here, the second 5-minute bar is almost completed. And I've placed the buy order above and sell order below. This is an entry that I've researched a lot, and one of my better ones for the past few months, even more. So we'll first wait for a fill, and then I'll remove the other order and place the stop in its place. And then at the same time, I will just wait for the completion of the first 15-minute bar in the Nasdaq. Let me just check the size of this bar. 140 some points. It's kind of a large bar, sadly, which makes this entry a bit more difficult. Because we essentially are forced to, if we want to respect the strategy, and we really want to respect the strategy, we have to place the stop at the other side of where we get filled. So for such a big bar, I will have to go quite low on the sizing. So we'll see what happens. We'll wait for a fill here, while also awaiting the completion of the first 15-minute bar. And after that, we'll focus on the second 15-minute bars in gold and the DAX. But that's still a way off, so let's wait and see. So we got filled short. I'm targeting 100 points, so essentially a 1-to-1 here. Just a little over 50. It's fine. Yeah, clean 1-to-1. We also have some news coming out here. It's not something that I particularly like when I have a mechanical entry for news to come out after the mechanical entry, but it doesn't invalidate the entry, and it sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. So just like with any other entry, I guess, but it does make things a bit more difficult. So I will place the orders for the Nasdaq as well here. First off, I'm just placing them in the vicinity, and then I'm adjusting the cushion to 5-6 points. So let's see. As usual with news, you can get lucky or unlucky, but I'm just hoping we dump a bit more. Not interested in holding this for too long. Again, like I said in the morning, I do think it's going to be a few complicated days, and I'm going to tread lightly and not go for huge moves, although I might sometimes adjust like I did in gold this morning, because my initial target was around here, and then I placed my target around here and I exited it just a bit early. But if I see price action that gives me confidence that the move can go further, of course I will adjust. So we've reached the mark where some news should have been out, but I don't see anything. And there's more news in 14 minutes, and that's going to be probably the last important news of the day, and the last chance to see like a huge news-based reaction. I mean, besides any more tariff announcements, of course. So I guess, as usual, just have to stay patient now. We'll wait for a fill in the Nasdaq. We'll wait for hopefully the Dow to continue going lower here, and also waiting for the second 15-minute bars to form, and we'll place my orders when they're near completion. So I'll pause you again for now, and we'll bring you back when there's something noteworthy. I'm bringing you back here, 9 minutes away from completing the second 15-minute bars. Sadly, gold is kind of running away here. A 10-point bar is probably just a bit too much. I have rarely entered off a 10-point bar in gold for this type of mechanical entry. So I think I'm kind of supposed to pass on this, just because it's an outlier. It's not what usually happens, so it kind of makes a win harder to achieve here. Also have to consider that we're at all-time highs, and we basically dumped below in the night and now are strongly recovering. So I don't really want to short at all-time highs, and going long at the very top here, while I have no issues with going long at the top, my strategy forces me to put the stop all the way down here, and I just think that it's a bit too much. And say I decide to just go long and place my stop at half, then if I get stopped out, it's not at the level that invalidates my entry. So then I'm making a mistake by placing the stop at half. So honestly, I think I just have to let that one go. I'm happy with my win earlier. You can look at it now and say you could have gotten more, but obviously after the fact it's easy to draw conclusions. Looking at all the other indices, it's looking like a tough day with tough price action. I mean, look at this ranging in the Nasdaq, in the SPX, in the UK index, even in the DAX and Dow. Let's hopefully not double bottom here, just go a little bit lower. This is the danger here, of course, going right below this bar and buyers stepping in strongly. I do think that for this particular entry, it is appropriate to now move stop to break even. There are a lot of points in profit here. Let's just hope we hit here. Come on. Okay, that's nice. I was ready to close it manually because I do think that we'll see buyers stepping in around here, at least temporarily. But I'm very happy with this one actually. And I caught it live, which is always nice. So close to getting filled short in the Nasdaq here. Obviously, I am aware that we're at this lower end of this range, so this level clearly can act as support, but I have to respect my strategy, and the reason why I have to do that is because, like I always say, these strategies are proven to work over time. So even if it doesn't work today, that's still fine. I'm still supposed to take it. A lot of the times you're gonna buy at support and it's not gonna work. It's gonna fail and dump lower. So it could easily be one of those occasions. Right now it does look like my cushion did the job and avoided a fill, and we're bouncing back up. So if we strongly bounce back up here, I'm gonna be very confident in the long position. But let's see, there's still a very good chance we get filled short here. So I will be skipping the gold entry, and I might skip the DAX entry as well. 56-point bar in the DAX. The problem with this as well is that for this entry, the second 15-minute bar in the US session, I'm just looking at my spreadsheet now, which contains the points I've made or lost on this entry in the past 14 trading days. I have made, so when I've won, I've made 60 points, 35 points, 90 points, 45 points, 55 points, 80 points, 25 points. So 90 points and 80 points are outliers. And then I've generally made around 50 points, and the bar is over 50 points. So once again, I would be forced to go quite low on the size here. Now I could do that, but just looking at this price action and considering this bar is just not usual and ideal for this strategy, I feel like I'm better off just waiting here a bit, and perhaps we can get a clearer picture later, and I can enter a price action or level-based trade that I'm more confident in. Generally, when my mechanical entries work the best is in a trending market, so you want to see ranging and then you want to see a breakout. We are essentially playing for breakouts or breakdowns. We are very vulnerable and, how can I say it? So we're very weak in situations where we're just ranging in between two levels. So like you see here, I was lucky not to get filled short for sure, but this evens out in time. Like this morning I was unlucky to get filled here. I'll show you right now. I got filled long in the UK 100 on the spread just before the reversal, so price didn't even reach my entry point. Whereas here in the Nasdaq we almost got filled but didn't. Of course we might still get filled short, but now what I'll say is, if we do go below here again, I do feel like there's a higher likelihood that we keep selling, because this support has now been tested quite a bit. So with every retest it's getting weaker, obviously. And I think my exit in the Dow was pretty good, as you can see. That's why I was getting ready to close it manually, but wanted to give it a few more seconds to hopefully fill in nicely, hit the TP nicely, and it did. So I think I'll do that. I think I'll just wait with the DAX. I will keep these orders in place in the Nasdaq. And of course we do have some more news now in a few minutes. And these will probably, like I said, these will be the last news that really shake the market for today, unless we have further announcements on tariffs, which can always happen now. So that's why it might be a bit more tricky to trade, but we need to adapt. And this is how we adapt. We are just a bit more cautious, and maybe a bit less risk averse, but still ready to take a good entry if we see one, of course. So right now with this price action, I'm very happy to let the DAX entry go. And I'm very happy that I didn't get filled short here. So news is coming out now. And it's again positive news, so it should be bearish for stocks. ISM manufacturing PMI and manufacturing prices have gone up, so this should be bullish for the dollar and bearish for commodities and indexes and stocks, but obviously it doesn't have to act that way. That's not how it always works. But in theory, let's say you're bearish here, in theory this should support that sentiment. As you can see, had I placed a sell order below here, I would be filled short now with an immediate reaction back up. Now this doesn't mean that we don't continue selling here, but I did expect some sort of reaction to any type of news, and perhaps having an extra set of orders here felt just like a bit too much. So happy with the decision to skip the DAX. And now I just have to wait for a fill here. I do think this fill will be valid, so we'll let it play out. Obviously it's for a very small sizing, so I'm only going to make a decent amount here if we actually do a significant move, but let's see. I will still have a reasonable target. Like if we are filled short here, I will probably target somewhere around the middle of Asia session, somewhere around here. I think that would be a reasonable target. So like 100 points. It's not going to be a huge win, but it's not going to be a huge loss either with the sizing. So and we just got filled here. Okay, so deleting the long. So we are risking the 0.5%. And now if I look at the target, it's quite below a 1-to-1 R&R, which isn't really great. So if I wanted to go for a 1-on-1 here, a 1-to-1, I would have to go here. So I'm essentially targeting 150 points. Let me see if this entry supports 150 points. It doesn't really, it supports 100 only. Now of course we could go lower because we have quite the volatility this morning, but I do think that if we dump like 50 points here, I will just bring my stop loss to break even and just play it super aggressively. Because this move is actually not looking that great from an R&R standpoint. So I don't really feel like risking 0.5 to make 0.3, because I don't think we're going to go all the way here. We could, of course, You never know. But I would have liked to see a stronger reaction to the downside, because right now we've kind of raided the lows perfectly. So actually I'm just going to close this for whatever, and just going to skip this entry as well. It might work, I might regret it later, and obviously it is a mechanical entry, so normally I want to respect them all, but I do have a bit of an issue with mechanical entry in the US session, with news coming after the US session opens. So let's see what happens. Next entry would be the fourth 15-minute bar in the SPX. I think this is safer to take because it will be a considerable time after the news, so we haven't even begun forming the fourth 15-minute bar. So I think I'm actually going to just focus on that entry. And there's another entry I am carefully monitoring in the S&P 500, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but it's an entry that I've taken in the past a lot, and then it cooled off, and now I'm just in the process of monitoring it and waiting for it to work again. And it is the fifth 5-minute bar in the SPX, so the break of the fifth 5-minute bar. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it would be this bar. So we would be short right now, and with a stop placed here. So let's just draw that out, just as an example. Something like that. Let's simulate the cushion a bit as well. Cushion for SPX is around 1.5 points generally. Now, of course, drawing lines in MetaTrader isn't as easy as in TradingView. But this is the fifth 5-minute bar, so I would be short here and the stop would be up here. So let's see if that would work. It has started to perhaps show a bit of promise lately again, but I still want to monitor it for a bit more time before I decide to bring it back into the active trade rotation. So this is what I do. Again, if you're new here, if you're just watching for the first time, or if you're still not fully understanding how I place my trades, I aim for mechanical entries. I look at breakouts or breakdowns that happen at certain specific times of certain specific candles in the indexes and gold that I am monitoring here. Each and every day I have the same 6 charts. So it's the S&P 500, SPX, NASDAQ here, US 100, gold, UK 100, the German index, DAX, and the Dow Jones index. These are the only things I trade. Very rarely I will also look at Bitcoin if I see an opportunity, a clear opportunity, but most often you will just see me trade these. And I track, like I said, specific candles, and when they complete, I place a buy order above and a sell order below. I have a spreadsheet where I track these entries. I track both the entries that you see me taking every day and some other entries that have proven profitable in the past over a long period of time, but are not working that well right now. So I'm tracking quite a few entries. And when I see one of them streaking, meaning it's profitable to follow price after it completes in one direction or another by placing orders above and below, and you make more points than you lose. So I take them in those periods of time where they begin to streak, and once they start cooling off, I stop taking them and focus on other entries that start to work, and so on. So my edge is quite clear. I track these entries, and when I believe they are profitable, and I have a spreadsheet that proves they are profitable recently, I take them religiously, I take them mechanically almost every single day, almost without exception. Like you saw today, we actually encountered an exception. So we have a new cycle that is creating volatility, which is the tariffs imposed by the United States on Canada and Mexico and China, and possible retaliation. So a tariff war that can bring a lot of volatility and uncertainty. So you can see price acting more erratically or more out of ordinary moves from what you've been accustomed to, let's say, lately. So I might be a bit more cautious in such periods. But today, the reason why I skipped these entries was more because of a combination of factors. So it was the news about tariffs, but also having news 15 minutes and then half an hour after the US market opened. Generally, and this also comes from both experience and research, my entries aren't working as well when that happens. So I generally like the days where we have the biggest news, we have them like 1 hour before US market opens, which is what usually happens. So those are my favorite days to trade the mechanical entries in the US session. That being said, they can still work. We would be in drawdown in the DAX trade, and we would be in profit in the NASDAQ trade right now. So you can see my exit here. So I exited at break even basically because I just didn't like the risk to reward ratio, which again is another valid reason to not take the mechanical entry. I generally aim to go for at least a 1-to-1 R&R. If it's considerably less, generally it's not worth taking. And here it was just not worth taking. I needed to target pretty much the lows of Asia session. And I'm not saying it can't go there, because of course it can, but I just felt like it's not an ideal setup, pretty much. And looking at the 5-minute bar, fifth 5-minute bar, we would have been a bit in profit now, retracing a bit again. So price isn't fully decided what to do now. Still waiting for the force 15-minute bar, which is what I really care about now in SPX. But obviously we are clearly in a range now. So if we go back and close into London range, which is this yellow box, I do think that there's a good chance we revisit the top. So keep that in mind. And the same goes for the NASDAQ. So with that said, I think I've talked enough. I'll pause you and we'll wait for something to develop here. And at the least, we'll wait for the force 15-minute bar. And wow, a very strong reaction here off the lows. So we went just below London session, and now we're very strongly going back into the range. So This kind of validates my decision making earlier. To remind you, I would have had to target this area here, like around 20,900, to make a 1-to-1 on this trade. But what is a bit unfortunate now is that, guess what? The first 15-minute bar in the SPX is now 30 points. And we've kind of, with this bar, covered almost all the range. So this means this entry is also no longer valid. So what automatically invalidates one of my entries is if the bar is much larger than usual. And of course, considering I trade the system daily and I have a spreadsheet where I track the results, I know what the normal entry bar is. So for example, in the SPX, I really cannot enter if it's a bar that's larger than 25 points. And even 25 points is quite a large entry bar. But generally I want somewhere around a 10 to 15 point bar for the SPX. For the NASDAQ, I generally want an 100 point bar or lower if possible, but at most 150 bar. And look at DAX as well. So had I taken the short off the second 15-minute bar, I would be stopped out now. I'm not sure what's causing this rally now, but it's probably some random announcement, or not even an announcement, just how the market is in this environment of extra volatility caused by tariffs and things that weren't there just a few days ago. And this is why I've said that I needed to adjust for today. And again, I think this has been validated. So I think I've executed things very well today. And especially in the US session, could have easily lost a lot of points here had I followed the entry in the NASDAQ and the entry in the DAX. Now for the entry in gold, I wouldn't have been triggered long, but I would be triggered short here. However, this bar in gold is, again, way too large for this strategy. So it's a 12-point bar. I usually enter off a 7-8 point bar at most. Usually a 5-point bar, 4-point bar. 12-point bar in gold for a mechanical entry like mine is just too big. I would much rather be interested in being a buyer here. If we reach this trend line again, maybe I'll try a long position. But at the same time, we were at all-time highs and we are rejecting them quite hard here. But let's see where we close. I think that's going to be the most relevant part. But yeah, I might just observe here now, which might be a bit disappointing. Just one entry and one entry where I just gave up quickly on it. And again, I think this decision has been fully vindicated. And even if it went short, because again, we can't just judge the decision because we've seen now that it would have lost money. So it's easy for me to say now, obviously, I made the right call, look at the price. But I think it was the right call regardless. I think it's the right call because, one, you can have something like this on a day like today because of the news and the tariffs, but also because the risk to reward just wasn't there. And for this entry, I generally make around 100 points, and now I had to make like 150 or more to make a decent 1-to-1 R&R. So that is actually the reason why this was not a valid entry, and why I got out of it quickly. So the fourth 15-minute bar in the SPX is obvious why I can't enter. This is now a humongous 50 to 60 point bar, so it's out of the question. And look at gold, I would have been filled short, and now we're already back up quite a bit. So yeah, I do think this is a bit too difficult now, and without having anything extra in terms of a planned mechanical entry here, I am very likely not to take another trade. However, I will pause you and observe price action for a while, and if I see anything that I have confidence in, and by confidence I mean a setup that I've practiced or taken a lot, or something that is obvious to me because of how price acts in a way that I recognize in any of these indices or gold, then I will take a trade, but it's quite unlikely, so I'll pause you and bring you back. Okay, so I've understood why the market's ripped so hard. The Mexico president already paused the tariffs on the US after discussions with the US president, so that was quite fast. So they've agreed to help the troops secure the border. So obviously the market found this quite bullish and rallied. So yeah, this is exactly why you need to be a bit more careful with mechanical entries in such an environment. And I think I did that, and I saved myself some money. So a bit of a profit on the day. I will still hang around a bit to see if there's any opportunities that present themselves. I will only enter a trade if I am very confident in something. I'm not going to speculate, I'm not going to gamble. It is only going to be something that I have confidence in, and if I see it, I will explain it and I will take it. So let's see, pausing you again. So market here has gone away with the news of a tariff pause between Mexico and the US. I don't think I'm gonna get another entry for today, not one that I fully trust and believe in. We're getting close to a previous day low here and filling the gap, but I'm not interested in speculating a reversal here. And I think gold might also slow down now and just range. So I don't think I'll get an entry that I feel fully confident in. So no reason to prolong the session. When this happens, just walk away and wait for tomorrow when you have your setups again, which is the case for me. I will have another list of mechanical setups for tomorrow that will be based on my analysis and my research. So I will see you tomorrow for the morning session. Thanks for joining, and if you enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe. I do try to post daily videos, and I place mostly mechanical trades. I am trying to show you how to pass an FTMO challenge by using mostly mechanical trades. It can be done. You just need the right plan, patience, and good risk management. So hopefully you can join me on this journey and I can show you how to pass an account with mechanical entries. As usual, please take these videos for information purposes only, not as financial advice. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you and goodbye.